this thing has been absolutely silver plattered for LIV to have Brooks Koepka leave, Patrick Reed leave, and then doing what he's doing on the DP World Tour. And now you have a emotional human interest story in Anthony Kim, who again didn't just win. I think it's one thing to win in some sort of come from behind fashion, but to do it against the players with which he did on their biggest stage, their biggest tournament. They had 115,000 fans come to the gates at Adelaide. Like, you could not have set up a better story for the LIV Golf League.
It's their biggest event. It's their most popular event. They have found something very special in Adelaide. I don't think you can talk around it anymore. They haven't found a way to replicate that around the world, certainly not in the United States, but what they have in Adelaide is special. So to that point, you are absolutely right. The fact he did it against Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau, I actually went back to Saturday night and read some of the quotes, and it was Bryson DeChambeau who was asked a leading question: is this going to feel like a Ryder Cup match on Sunday? And he was a little dismissive at first, like, oh, this is stroke play. A lot of things can happen. And he goes, but yes, we've kind of separated ourselves from the field. I imagine it is going to feel like a match play. Who knew that the 2008 Ryder Cup match was going to break out, that it was going to be AK?
I couldn't believe my eyes, Rex. I could not believe my eyes when I stayed up and watched that it was Jon Rahm who was going left. It was
Wait a minute.
And it was AK.
You don't stay up and watch anything.
I
don't
did.
believe.
I
You're
stayed up
fibbing.
and
You're
watched.
lying.
I couldn't believe it.
Not
But
true.
I think if you were a real golf fan, you were tuned to this. And I don't care what the ratings are going to be. I don't think that's necessarily going to be indicative of how this transcended. I mean, this was, again, I always talk about like the Sports Center threshold of, have you crossed the line from a hardcore golf fan to a casual golf fan / casual sports fan? That's what the Anthony Kim story was. I stayed up because I thought this was going to be a Jon Rahm versus Bryson DeChambeau duel. And I could not believe my eyes when Anthony Kim kept stuffing iron after iron inside 10 feet to give himself an opportunity to win the golf trip. Rex, he birdied 5 of the last 7 holes. Like,
I think
it was an incredible display of golf.
I think he made 100 feet of putts over his last 7 holes. It was an incredible display of ball striking. It was an incredible display of putting, again, against those two players on that scene. And you mentioned about when he came on the scene, and I remember going to the American Express the year he was a rookie on the PGA Tour, and I'd set it up in advance, and I just wanted to sit down with him because there had been a lot of stories about sort of this difficult childhood that he had. And I wanted to just to have one example, and he was a little reluctant. He didn't want to give up too much because we're just sort of talking about what his upbringing was like. And he finally told me he had been at a junior tournament and he finished second, and they were driving home. And his father took the trophy, the second place trophy, and threw it out the window as they're driving home and said, second place is no good. And it gives you an idea. I wasn't able to dig that much deeper, but it gave a glimpse into how difficult his upbringing was. He was very close with his mother. On occasions, he wasn't close with his father at all. And he got off to such a stunning start on the PGA Tour. And it wasn't just the golf. We always have this conversation about there are a lot of players who just get off to really magical starts to their career, but they don't have the combination of personality and talent to sort of bridge that gap. You called it the ESPN threshold. Early on, AK was on both sides of that threshold. He was a phenomenon. He transcended golf and went into mainstream sports, and that only became more prevalent as sort of his legend grew over time as he got closer to the 2008 U.S. Ryder Cup and everything that he did there. And for him to disappear just so utterly, just to vanish, he was like Kaiser Sose. I mean, he just went away in the dark. That was just a stunning part. But to now have this on the back end, I don't know that there is a better story that I can come up with, just not in golf and all of sports, about someone who was able to circle back around and come from, I don't want to say the trash heap because no one knows exactly what he went through, but clearly they were dark times.
I mean, we just wanted closure, didn't we? We just wanted closure in the early to mid 2010s of how could a player with so much swagger and aura and charisma and clear talent. You mentioned the 2008 Ryder Cup and sort of being the figurehead for that group. How about the 2009 Masters when he made a record 11 birdies in a round? Like, that still stirs golf fans every single year just thinking about that. And golf fans want characters. They want depth of characters. They want reasons to root. And you look at like the best players in the PGA Tour right now. Scottie Scheffler isn't even trying to beat necessarily his current peers. He's trying to beat some of the best players of all time. Roy McIlroy at this point in his career is trying to become one of the best players of all time. It's Jordan Spieth who's trying to rediscover his old magic. It's Colin Morikawa, who just won at Pebble Beach. We're going to get to in the next segment, trying to rediscover some of that old magic. It's Ludwig Oberg trying to, make good on all the promise that he has. Anthony Kim is a perfect example of that as well, of a player. There's depth to him. There's nostalgia of wanting to see that player again. There's now, I think, an inspirational aspect to Anthony Kim's story of wanting to see someone who has been through so much, obviously much of it self-inflicted, now wanting to see what else he can draw upon at the age of 40 and trying to inspire his wife and his young daughter and trying to make a better living. I think that's great as well. So there's certainly a human aspect, Rex. I think from a golf respect, it's kind of interesting as well. And the trickle-down effect of the official World Golf Ranking and LIV players now getting him is Anthony Kim is all the way up to number 203 in the official World Golf Ranking. If he has a couple more good finishes this spring, he'd be on the cusp potentially of the top 100 in the World Golf Ranking, which would put him sort of on the radar for the PGA of America, for the PGA Championship. We got people calling for Augusta National to give him invites, special invitation to the year's first major. Obviously, when you look at the U.S. Open and the Open Championship, there is a little bit of a carve-out for the top finishers for LIV performers, but he could also get potentially into the top 50, top 60. All of these things, again, before LIV Adelaide would have been unthinkable. But if he continues to play well, does he have a year or two window where he could actually make some hay at this point?
I think the window between now and the Masters, just given he doesn't have a lot of events to play. It's just a schedule question. This isn't about what he could possibly do on the golf course. It's probably going to be too narrow. He's going to run out of time trying to get into the Masters. The one that interests me the most in that conversation would be the PGA Championship. Again, this goes back to his relationship with the PGA of America and everything that he meant to that 2008 Ryder Cup team. I think there would be a lot of sympathy to bring him back and at least get him into that major championship. And you touched on this before, and I don't want to go skipping past it, because the idea that he delivered the one thing that the public investment fund's money hasn't been able to buy yet. And that's true emotion on the 18th green, winning a tournament, a meaningful tournament to this particular player. I don't care. I don't want you to at me. I don't want the LIV bots coming at me. I don't care if it's important to you or not. Anyone who listened to that interview and saw his emotion, this was a very important tournament to Anthony Kim. And he delivered that emotion when we haven't really seen it.
That's the best part. That's the best part, because all these guys are receiving generational wealth. All these guys are receiving get out of jail free cards or extending their professional careers late into their 40s. This is a guy who was receiving a second chance to just make good on what was the promise of a decade ago. He had John Rahm, who's rumored $300 million. You have Bryce DeChambeau, who's probably going to commanding $500 million. And it's Anthony Kim, who, again, is probably one of the cheapest players on the entire LIV roster, who wins the golf tournament. Again, their biggest tournament that they have, equivalent to what would be the Players' Championship on the PGA Tour. Unthinkable, unimaginable, unfathomable, and yet it's resounding in a way I don't think any of us could have foreseen.